God bless you all with His abundant grace. Today we are going to see about biosphere. Can you able to understand the previous lesson and able to recall what we have learnt in the previous classes? Yes, very good. We are getting known about the layers of the earth, isn't it? So now in today's lesson we are going to see another layer of the earth, that is biosphere. Well, we'll move on to the lesson. What is biosphere? Biosphere is the fourth sphere of the earth which has life and supporting layer that existed. The vertical range of the biosphere is approximately 20 km, which is measured from the ocean floor to the troposphere. So you can see which we call as biosphere, and you can also recall the other spheres: lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, which we are known earlier. And by the left side, the biosphere and the vegetation, the living organism, you can see. Earth's physical system: atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere and biosphere. As I have told you, the vertical range of biosphere, just have a look. This is how the biosphere differs from the ocean floor. Ecosystem. An ecosystem is a community of all living organisms live and interact with one and another, and also with their non-living environment such as land, soil, air, water and etc. The ecosystem with living organism. These were the microorganism and the ecosystem. Components of ecosystem. An ecosystem consists of three major components: abiotic, biotic and energy components. Just say again: abiotic, biotic, energy component. Here is biotic and abiotic, and by the left side you can see the energy component. Biotic component is called as living organism with the living things, but abiotic is with non-living things. This is what is the difference between the biotic and the abiotic. And for all these, the biotic and the abiotic, the energy component is a very important component. Without the energy, both the biotic cannot be live. Now we'll see what is abiotic component. It includes the non-living organic, physical and chemical factors of the environment. Example: land, air, water, calcium, iron, that is minerals, etc. Biotic components. What is biotic components? It includes plants, animals, microorganisms, and biotic component can scanned and be classified into producers and consumers. We'll see about producers and consumers. Before that, we'll see biotic versus abiotic, the difference between the biotic and abiotic. Biotic, we can see organic matter, living things, oysters, blue crab, zooplankton, and physioplankton, and jellyfish. Abiotic, climate, non-living things, sunlight, temperature, nutrient enrichment, and humidity with soil. Well, we'll move on to common category of consumers. Here we can see three types of consumers: primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. So these were some examples of consumers. Now we'll see the different layer of consumers in trophic level and grassland biome, pond biome, and ocean biome. So primary and secondary with tertiary consumers. Primary consumers depend on the producers for their food. It doesn't prepare its own food. So they are exclusively herbivorous. Example, zebra and goat with the and other examples. You know the food chain also, isn't it, children? So when the primary consumer has been consumed by the secondary consumer, it has been consumed by the tertiary, and with the predators, finally it decomposes and move on. It's like that as a fertility for the soil. Secondary consumer are small and carnivorous because they consume herbivorous. So they depend on herbivorous. So here we can see lion, snake, and etc. Tertiary consumer or the top carnivorous that prey on both herbivorous and carnivorous, that is plant eaters and animal eaters. Example, owl and crocodile. Now let's see the decomposers. Decomposers are organisms that prepare their own food. They live on dead and decaying plants and animals. Hence, it's called as saprotrophs. Fungus and mushrooms are some of the examples for decomposers. Just look at the picture. So, these were called as decomposers. Energy component. We have seen three components, isn't it? Just recall: biotic component, abiotic component, and energy component. The third component is energy component. All organisms in the biosphere use energy to work and convert one form of energy into another. So the sun is the ultimate source of energy for the biosphere as a whole. Next, we'll see the functions of an ecosystem. You know the food chain also, it gets crossed into, you just analyze, are well known of the food chain, isn't it? From the smaller one to the bigger one. Primary, secondary, tertiary, and the consumers, and then to the producers again. It moves on like this. What is the function of an ecosystem? A living organism form an interacting set of flora and fauna which are organized into trophic levels, and move on to the food chains and food webs. Biodiversity. Biodiversity or biological diversity refers to a wide variety of living organisms, whether plants, animals, and other microorganisms which live in an habitat, in their own habitat. So in biodiversity, each species no matter how big or small, has an important role to play in the ecosystem. It has own play role. You can just see the biodiversity with the plants, animals, and with the microorganisms. But children, in course of time, these biodiversity, some of the species gets vanished. That is, loss in the biodiversity. We'll see about it. In the extinction of the species, flora and fauna, due to the human and natural influences, it gets lost. That is called as loss of biodiversity. A healthy ecosystem provides clean water, pure water, enriched soil, food, raw materials, medicine, etc. But why it gets lost? Because of human usage, excess of usage, and not to preserve them. They forget to preserve the species. So these were the species has been lost in during years. Then next we are see about biomes. What is biome? A biome is a geographically extensive ecosystem where all the flora and fauna are found collectively. Biomes are classified and defined as abiotic factors, that is, all the non-living, relief, climate, soil and vegetation. They are classified into two broad categories, terrestrial biome and aquatic biome. This is terrestrial and the next one is aquatic. Now we'll see the biomes in detail. First is terrestrial biome. Is a group of living organisms that live and interact one another on the land. They are mainly determined by temperature and rainfall. Some of the terrestrial biomes are tropical forest biomes, tropical savanna biomes, desert biomes, temperate grassland biomes, tundra biomes. Well, children, we'll see tropical forest biomes. Tropical forest has the highest biodiversity and primary productivity of any other terrestrial biomes. These regions have dense forest, so it's a great economic importance. Due to the humidity nature of this biome, the people get diseases like malaria, yellow fever and etc. The animals lives there is bats, pheasants, jaguars, elephants, monkeys and etc. The next terrestrial biome is tropical savanna biome. That is with grasslands. Tropical grasslands are found generally in tropical forest and desert. Tropical savanna biomes are found between 10 degree to 20 degree in the north and south latitudes. It grows very tall and short. The chief occupation of the people here is herding. That is one of the primary occupation. And these grasslands are found in Sahel, south of Sahara in East Africa and in Australia. The common animals over here is leopard, tiger, deer and zebra. The next, animals in savannas. Good looking, isn't it? Desert biomes. Due to the lack of rainfall and arid conditions, these regions do not possess any vegetation but have special vegetation type called xerophytes, as the soil remains agriculturally unprotected. Reptiles like snakes, lizards, scorpions are seen here. Temperate grasslands. Temperate grasslands are usually found in the interior of the continent and characterized by large seasonal temperature variation. Here you can see some of the living organism over there. The type of grassland in these regions strongly depends on the precipitation. Also, the higher precipitation leads to tall and soft grass, and lower precipitation leads to short and soft grass. The common birds and animals are grasshoppers, wolf, bison, and parrot. Some of the temperate grassland living organism. Good. The next is tundra biomes. These vast lowlands are found here, and it remains frozen. It's also called as a barren lands. Arctic and Antarctic regions are used over here for the tundra biomes, and due to the prevailing low temperature, short growing season, and net primary productive is very low. You know very well that throughout the year it is frozen, so the grass or anything cannot be seen over here. Hunting and fishing are the main occupation. They live in igloos. You might have seen igloos, isn't it? They prepare a tent and survive there. Okay. Arctic moss, Arctic willow, liches are the creatures over there. Fauna found here is polar bear, wolverine, and reindeer with snowy wool. Here are some pictures for you. Aquatic biomes. So as we have seen earlier with terrestrial biomes and aquatic biomes, terrestrial we have seen a lot. Now we'll move on to the aquatic biomes, which has been again divided into freshwater biome and marine biomes. Some of the freshwater biomes. Marine biomes. Well, children, thus we end this lesson, but as a final touch, it's to be said, all these living organisms have to be conserved and preserved. So be careful, children. The conservation, the biosphere that extends from the deep ocean trenches to lush rainforest. So people play a vital role in maintaining the flow of energy in the biosphere. So it's our part to preserve the living organism and also a rare species. Thank you, children. God bless you all. We'll move on to the homework. Learn and write only the short answer and the distinguish. So you can able to mark in the book. Thank you, children.